Valve's brand new Steam machine is officially here, and the internet is losing its mind over the price tag. Starting at $1,049 without a controller, it is completely understandable why people think Valve has lost its mind. Why pay a premium like that when a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X costs hundreds less? The answer is that Valve isn't playing the traditional console game. In their official launch notes, Valve laid out exactly why they refused to copy Sony or Microsoft's pricing strategies. They stated, "We think of Steam Machine as an extension of PC gaming, not as a console. The traditional console model is to sell hardware at a loss and make up the revenue with subscription services or by selling games that are locked into the hardware. We think this can make sense for a single business in the short term, but that open ecosystems are better for customers over the long term." The strength of PC gaming is the ability to play games you want on the hardware you want. Steam Machine is a solution to these problems, and we think it's a great one. But it's not the only solution, and we don't want it to be. Because they refuse to trap you in a locked ecosystem with paid online multiplayer subscriptions, Valve has to build these machines at cost. And right now, the global memory market is at war. AI tech giants are swallowing the supply chain whole, leaving Valve with almost zero bargaining power. Valve's own engineer exposed this reality to Gamers Nexus, detailing how brutal the negotiations are with memory suppliers. Look, there's no contract, there's nothing. Like those guys, they give us a price every month or something, and they say you can buy that many, and it's yes or no. And if we say no, then they never talk to us again. That monthly ultimatum forced a baseline price that was originally tracking for $750 all the way up to past $1,000. But the physical hardware isn't the real product here. It's a template to show you what you can do. Because demand is so high and supply is so limited, Valve is running a randomized reservation queue to fight off scalper bots. If you don't get your name in before the June 25th deadline, you are automatically kicked to the back of a massive waitlist that will take the rest of the year to clear. But hidden deep inside that exact same FAQ, Valve dropped the real bombshell for anyone who can't get a reservation, or simply refuses to pay over $1,000 for a gaming cube. When asked what players should do if they can't get a machine right away, Valve responded, "Thanks to the openness of the PC platform, there are lots of options. For our part, we are continuing to work toward enabling SteamOS to be used on more hardware than just ours. In fact, with the newly released SteamOS 3.8, you can run the same code and operating system as Steam Machine on your own living room PC using whatever PC parts you want." Historically, trying to install SteamOS on a standard desktop PC was a massive headache. It was technically possible, but it wasn't the optimal experience. You had to download a raw Steam Deck recovery image, deploy messy community workarounds, and hope your system didn't hard lock. It was a boutique operating system built for a single AMD handheld chip. SteamOS 3.8.10 changes that entirely. Valve has launched a newly modernized, dynamically updating general PC installer page. You flash it to a thumb drive, plug it into a custom rig, and it auto-configures the system environment. But why should an average gamer care about shifting away from Windows? And well, Windows is a bloated, general-purpose operating system running dozens of hidden telemetry, updates, and enterprise tasks in the background. SteamOS is Arch Linux stripped down to do exactly one thing: feed system resources for your games. When you boot into SteamOS, you are greeted by an interface that gives a seamless system with zero desktop clutter, seamless cloud syncing, and instant platform navigation. But historically, the biggest barrier preventing SteamOS from going mainstream was hardware support. Because Valve built the Steam Deck alongside AMD, the operating system was fundamentally locked to Radeon graphics drivers. That barrier is actively dissolved resolving. In an interview with The Verge, a Valve employee confirmed that Valve has deployed an internal engineering team dedicated to bringing full native compatibility to the rest of the market. We have a growing team working on Nvidia driver support for SteamOS. We are collaborating with Nvidia very closely. While full consumer-ready Nvidia desktop execution is slated to mature later down the line, the structural foundations are being laid right now. SteamOS 3.8.10 updates crucial stability patches for recent Intel and AMD platforms. This translates to initial compatibility rolling out for Intel Arc desktop GPUs alongside mobile architectures like the Arc G3 chips found in upcoming handhelds. The performance gains of this software migration are even measurable today. Look at third-party manufacturers like Lenovo, who are actively moving away from Windows by launching devices like the Legion OS preloaded with SteamOS. When you run AAA titles on an operating system custom-tuned for gaming hardware, the gains are immediate. These tests show clear frame rate jumps of 10 to 15% compared to identical hardware running Windows. Under the hood, SteamOS 3.8 introduces three massive architectural shifts that make desktop mode feel modern, like the Wayland protocol, as Valve has swapped out X11 display system for Wayland, integrating KDE Plasma 6.4.3. This finally enables flawless per monitor fractional scaling and native HDR support on external home theater displays. There's also the input latency miracle. The entire controller input stack was re-engineered and input lag plummeted from 5 to 8 milliseconds down to nearly 100 to 500 microseconds. And unlike typical rolling Linux builds that can break when individual packages update, Valve utilizes a frozen snapshot ecosystem, so packages are locked, optimized, and heavily verified by Valve engineers before they ever reach your device. So when you zoom out and look at the macro environment, it becomes clear that Valve's strategy was never about dominating console hardware sales with a niche $1,000 cube. The console exists as a blueprint into what is possible. If you want to build your own living room PC and take advantage of SteamOS, you are perfectly capable of doing that. Gabe Newell saw the trajectory of the industry decades ago. Microsoft has been slowly turning Windows into a closed, service-driven ecosystem complete with forced AI tools, heavy tracking, and shifting store architectures. If Microsoft ever decides to close the gate on third-party application installers to protect its own ecosystem, Valve's entire business model would vanish overnight. But SteamOS is Valve's insurance policy. By transforming this software into an accessible, universal operating system that can drop into Lenovo handhelds, custom mini living room builds, and eventually mainstream Nvidia desktops, Valve is making sure the future of PC gaming remains completely open source and independent. And that itself should be enough to want to support Valve. Are you planning to test SteamOS on your own custom hardware, or are you looking at picking up a new Steam machine?